This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Thursday, the 7th day of December in the year 2023. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and some tragic news to begin with tonight. Hope turned into despair this afternoon as the Guyana Defense Force lowered all of its flags to half-mast and confirmed that 5 of its service members died in that helicopter crash at Arao in the bordering region with Venezuela. There were 7 persons on board, including the crew, when the helicopter went down yesterday morning just after 11. 2 young soldiers survived the crash. Those confirmed dead are Commander of the 1st Infantry Battalion, Colonel Michael Shahood, veteran pilot Lieutenant Colonel Michael Charles, Lieutenant Colonel Sean Welcome, retired Brigadier Gary Beaton, and Sergeant Jason Khan. The survivors have been identified as Pilot Lieutenant Andy Crawford and Corporal Dwayne Jackson. A cause of the tragedy is still to be determined. Search and rescue teams headed back into the area early this morning and were able to identify the scene of the crash after the survivors were spotted signaling to the rescue teams. It took over an hour to get the rescue teams into the heavily forested area as the stormy weather conditions affected the repelling of the Special Forces personnel. News source understands that once at the scene of the crash, the search and rescue teams were able to confirm the deaths as they provided emergency care to the survivors. The severity of their injuries are not known. Senior military officials reported to News Source this evening that some of those who died were badly burnt as the helicopter burst into flames on impact. In a statement, the Guyana Defense Force said the Chief of Staff, officers and the ranks of the GDF extend sincere condolences to the families and loved ones of those who perished. The GDF said it is committed to providing unwavering support to the families during this unprecedented and challenging period of mourning, noting that the officers have served and given excellent service in the defense of the country and will be duly recognized. It was explained that the next phase of the operation involves the extraction from the area, followed by the commencement of an investigation into the incident. The GDF has set up a temporary emergency base at a mining location close to the crash site. This evening, the government of Guyana has ordered that all national flags and institutional flags be flown at half-mast until further notice. In a statement of condolences, President Irfan Ali said his heart pains and drowns in sorrow at the tragic loss of some of Guyana's finest men in uniform. The president said the scale of this loss to the families, the country, the GDF, and to him personally is immeasurable. He said the 5 servicemen who died loved their country above and beyond everything, as he offered prayers for their families and prayers also for the survivors. The 5 men who died were all well respected and well loved in the Guyana Defense Force. Colonel Michael Shahood was the commander of the mission to visit troops at the bordering locations. He was also the commander of the force's 1st Infantry Battalion and was one of the best trained in that field. Just last week, he hosted military officials from across the region for a special meeting here in Guyana. Lieutenant Colonel Mike Charles served as pilot for over 40 years. He was one of the most experienced helicopter pilots in the country and came out of his retirement a few years ago to continue serving the force. He would document his travels across the country in video documentaries and photo releases on his social media pages. Retired Brigadier Gary Beaton was back serving the force through a government office. He retired as one of the highest ranking officers in the GDF and was once earmarked as a possible head of the force. He was also a former commander of the GDF Coast Guard. Lieutenant Colonel Sean Welcome had topped a number of military programs and courses throughout his career in the GDF. Back in 2018 as a major, he topped the force's Senior Command and Staff course. And Staff Sergeant Jason Khan was an athletic and competitive member of the force, who had also topped a number of military courses over the years. This evening, there's a somber tone that has enveloped the entire country as a nation mourns. More news coming up in just a moment.
'Twas the start of GTT Christmas and all through the land. Not a smartphone was silent, all buzzing in hand. The stockings were hung by the modem with care, in hopes that GTT prizes would soon be here. They say top up a grand or activate a data plan, and just find the letters to GTT Xmas in the land. Plus, pay your bills on time, don't be a Grinch, and you could be a winner of the GTT Mega Million.
Oh my lord! I just love to shop in this store. My customers, them gonna love all these things. So many different things in one place. Household items, electronics, toys, stationery, confectionery, exercise equipment, shoes and clothes for men, women and children, school things, costume, jewelry, perfume, makeup. Oh, look the makeup!
Giftland Office Max, Guyana's favorite department store.
It's your time to win big! The Massey Store's Christmas jackpot promotion is back and bigger than before. Spend $5,000 at any Massey Stores to be the lucky winner of a brand new MGZS and fantastic weekly store prizes from now until January 31st, 2024. What are you waiting for? Head to your nearest Massey Stores to shop now. See our Facebook and Instagram pages for more details. Massey Stores, our family serving your family.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Bust the flavors. We're full of flavors. Bust the flavors, that my crave for. We're full of flavors. Tell your neighbors about the bust the flavors. Grab a bust the flavors. Yeah, thirst buster. Grab a buster. Bust the flavor, taste the savor. Bust the flavors. Bust the flavors.
The U.S. Embassy here in Georgetown announced this morning that the U.S. Southern Command will conduct flight operations within Guyana. According to a statement, the exercise builds upon routine engagement and operations to enhance security partnership between the U.S. and Guyana and to strengthen regional cooperation. The embassy noted that in addition to the exercise, the U.S. Southcom will continue its collaboration with the Guyana Defense Force in the areas of disaster preparedness, aerial and maritime security, and countering transnational criminal organizations. The U.S. Embassy said the U.S. will continue its commitment as Guyana's trusted security partner while promoting regional cooperation. While the embassy announcement indicated that the flights would have taken place today, news source understands that flights were being conducted over Guyana since this past weekend, in wake of the Venezuelan referendum vote. Just last week, the Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force held talks with U.S. military officials. Discussions were also held with other security forces globally, in wake of Venezuela's ongoing threats against Guyana. CARICOM heads of government will gather virtually tomorrow for an emergency meeting on the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy and the latest acts of aggression against Guyana by its western neighbor. CARICOM has already issued a number of statements on the controversy and recent decisions of the International Court of Justice. However, the emergency meeting has been triggered by the Venezuelan government's recent actions and its plans to move ahead with making Guyana's Essequibo a new Venezuelan state. In the past few days, President Irfan Ali and other government officials have been briefing the CARICOM Secretariat and CARICOM governments on the latest developments. The President and officials from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs are expected to make a presentation to the CARICOM heads of government during tomorrow's meeting. Some CARICOM leaders have received a backlash in their homelands from their opposition parties over their lukewarm response to the developments out of Caracas. In Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados especially, the opposition leaders have roasted the two governments for not being outspoken enough against Nicolas Maduro and his Venezuelan government. CARICOM has repeatedly stated its continued support of Guyana and its case before the International Court, warning Venezuela against taking any action against Guyana. With tensions at an all-time high between Guyana and Venezuela due to Venezuela's increased claims of Guyana's Essequibo region, the United States has made clear that it stands with Guyana in the ongoing controversy. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken telephoned President Irfan Ali to reaffirm the U.S. government's unwavering support for Guyana's sovereignty. A release issued by the U.S. State Department noted that Secretary Blinken also reiterated the U.S.'s call for a peaceful resolution to the dispute and for all parties to respect the 1899 arbitral award determining the land boundary between Venezuela and Guyana, unless or until the parties reach a new agreement or a competent legal body decides otherwise. Secretary Blinken and President Ali also discussed the International Court of Justice and its order issued on the 1st of December, which called for parties to refrain from any action that might aggravate or extend the dispute. According to the U.S. State Department, the Secretary reiterated that the U.S. looks forward to working closely with Guyana once it assumes its non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council in January. The two leaders concluded the call by agreeing upon the importance of maintaining a peaceful and democratic Western Hemisphere. The conversation with the U.S. Secretary of State followed President Irfan Ali's vow to intensify engagements with Guyana's international partners after Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro announced measures that he plans to take, claiming Guyana's Essequibo. Over the past 2 days, President Ali has appeared on major U.S. and international news networks, including CNN and CBS News, Al Jazeera, and BBC World News, to raise awareness of the ongoing border issue and Venezuela's acts of aggression.
So earlier in the month, we saw an increase in Venezuelan presence, military presence on the border. But what is concerning is the statement made by President Maduro to give effect to the questions in the referendum and in the establishment of a state of Essequibo, the issuing of ID cards, and the ultimatum. He's basically given an ultimatum to investors, which includes U.S. investors, Chinese investors, to remove from the region within 3 months. So
are they heeding that call, though? Are they heeding that call? What are you hearing from from those investors?
Well, we have made it very clear to the investors and to every Guyanese that Essequibo belongs to Guyana. In 1899, the borders were settled. Venezuela participated in the settlement of the border. When we were going to independence, they raised a controversy. That controversy is properly before the ICJ, and that is where it will be settled. So we have told our investors they have no fear. We are on the right side of history, the right side of the law, and there is absolutely no fear in investing in Essequibo, which belongs to Guyana.
The president has also been in close contact with his colleagues across the region.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo, from its pristine rivers to its abundant resources. It's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect, and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
The Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, has sent the December 1 provisional measures handed down by the International Court in relation to the ongoing Guyana-Venezuela border controversy to the UN Security Council for that body to deliberate on the way forward in wake of the actions by Venezuela. The spokesperson for the UN chief, Stefan Dujarric, told a media briefing that the Secretary General strongly supports the use of solely peaceful means to settle international disputes, such as the one that currently obtains between Guyana and its western neighbor, Venezuela. He said it is the hope of the Secretary General that, pursuant to the Charter and to the Statute of the International Court of Justice, decisions of the court are binding, and he trusts that both sides will duly comply with the order from the court.
The Secretary General strongly supports the use of solely peaceful means to settle international disputes. He further recalls that, pursuant to the Charter and to the status of the International Court of Justice, decisions of the court are binding, and he trusts that both states will duly comply with the order from the court. The Secretary General recalls the order of the International Court of Justice issued on December 1st, 2023, indicating a provisional measures in the case of Guyana against Venezuela concerning arbitral award of 3rd October 1999.
The spokesperson said that Secretary General of the UN also notes the court's unanimous decision to order Venezuela to refrain from taking any action that would modify the situation that currently prevails in the territory in dispute, and the order which compelled both parties to refrain from any action which might aggravate or extend the dispute or make it more difficult to resolve. The UN spokesperson noted that in accordance with the statute of the court, the Secretary General has transmitted the notice of the provisional measures ordered by the court to the Security Council. Vice President Bharat Jagdeo has rejected as illegal Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro's move to create a new map which includes the Guyana Essequibo region. Maduro has justified the extension of the map, saying it was a mandate given to him by the people of his country in last Sunday's referendum. But that move now poses a threat to Guyana. During a press conference today, Vice President Jagdeo was asked if the government is concerned about Venezuelan gangs also making their way into the area. Jagdeo said from the onset Guyana does not recognize any extension of the Venezuelan map.
We know what our borders are, and any incursion by anyone, including from criminal gangs, will be dealt with by our security forces. And so we are watching this carefully.
The vice president said there is the general view that the majority of the migrants who have come from Venezuela are peaceful. He said he does not want to discount that many of them may have ill intent towards Guyana.
So we're not turning a blind eye to that, to our security forces are looking at that. We are looking at every possible threat to our country and our people, wherever they come from, or which can be exploited by the Maduro regime.
Mr. Jagdeo maintains that Guyana will be working to ensure that the controversy is resolved peacefully, but will not sit idly by and let Venezuela have its way and implement actions that threatens Guyana's territorial integrity. Opposition leader Aubrey Norton is this evening calling on the government to pay more emphasis on the defense capabilities of the Guyana Defense Force to respond to internal and external threats that the country might encounter. At a press conference this morning, Mr. Norton said the Army's limited and outdated resources put it at a disadvantage to respond effectively to security concerns. He said the government must ensure that closer attention is paid to the needs of the Defense Force.
It is clear that the Army needs, the Marine section needs to be, or what is called the Coast Guard, need to be better equipped. Like I've said, there's clear need for weaponry, and I believe also there is need for equipment to help neighboring communities, bordering communities, because those communities also will not be able to access the kind of assistance that those further away from the border will be able to access. And so
the opposition leader also said if the government is serious about protecting the land, air and maritime spaces, it will also invest in technologies to assist in monitoring.
One would have thought by now that information technology would have been used, and that in our border areas we would have equipped them to be able to do surveillance, etc. Technologically, you know, it is difficult to patrol those areas. And therefore, the Guyana Defense Force should be looking in the direction of the use of technology to help us keep control of what is happening at the border.
According to Mr. Norton, men and women who serve in the military, especially those stationed in those far-flung areas, must also be properly equipped and ensure that at any time they can respond to any threat. He said the administration should seek to boost the morale of those ranks stationed in the hinterland.
There's need for upgrade of weapons in keeping with modern times. It should be obvious to all that we don't have the capacity in terms of air travel to put troops in the area and to bring them out adequately. There are also reports coming from those areas that the locations tend to run out of food.
The government has been speaking about a recapitalization plan for the Guyana Defense Force and the other security forces. Well, 45 local companies have successfully completed the Health, Safety, Security and Environment Management System program offered by the Center for Local Business Development, bringing the total number of companies completing the program to 100. HSSE is critical to all sectors, in particular the construction, agriculture, manufacturing, mining, and the oil and gas sectors. Here in Guyana, the Center for Local Business Development has been fostering the development and the expansion of a safety culture through the implementation of the HSSE Management System program, which was introduced in 2019. At an awards ceremony last evening, the Center's Quality, Safety, Security and Environment Specialist, Lavonia Springer, said the program has helped Guyanese businesses to build their operational capacity in safety management while ensuring their environment is a safe place to work. The HSSE Management System program takes approximately 6 months for a company to complete it. The companies that recently completed the program operate in regions 2, 3, 4, and 6, with 51% of them only having 2 to 9 employees, while some 30% of them have over 50 employees. The director of the Center for Local Business Development, Dr. Natasha Gaskin-Peters, while applauding the companies, said Guyana's economy continues to expand rapidly, and it is important for major emphasis to be placed on safety. Occupational Safety and Health Advisor at the Ministry of Labour, Gwyneth King, who delivered the keynote address on behalf of the Labour Minister, said companies' participation in the HSSE Management System program is an indication that they are cognizant of the importance of safety and security in the workplace. She also said the Labour Ministry is actively working with companies to improve the conditions of work in the workplace. AA Maritime and Offshore Training Center, 592 Events Management Service, ACH Logistics and Investments, Ava Business Solutions, Blackwater Adventures, Caribbean Aviation Maintenance Services Limited, Environmental Engineering Solution, Inland and Offshore Recruiting and Clearing Agency were among the 45 companies that successfully completed the program. The Atlantic Marine Supplies Company, Poor & Brothers Disposal Inc., Environmental Management Consultants, Guyana Oil and Gas Support Services, and the GR Engineering were among the companies that received special awards last evening.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyoil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyoil's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyoil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
Food Max Supermarket, located on the ground floor at the Giftland Mall, is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. We stock a variety of imported frozen meat and food products, fresh produce, and pet supplies, freshly made bread, rotisserie chicken, and patties are also available daily. Shop in comfort today at Food Max and let our courteous staff assist you in satisfying your shopping needs. Food Max, the fresh food specialist.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Look who's in the mix now. The new Buster Soda Water. 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 artificial flavors. 100% refreshing. Taste Buster Soda Water today. Buster Soda Water. Now available for only $120.
With your regional and international news tonight, I'm Svetlana Marshall. In the region, Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley used a speech in London on Wednesday to call for a global conversation on reparations for countries that saw their people enslaved, sometimes for centuries, under colonial rule. In a lecture at the London School of Economics, where she studied in the early 1980s, Prime Minister Mottley said the conspiracy of silence has diminished the horror of what people in the region faced. Barbados was one of Britain's first slave colonies. English settlers first occupied the Caribbean island in 1627, and under British control, it became a sugar plantation economy using enslaved people shipped from Africa. Slavery was abolished in 1834, and Barbados became fully independent in 1966 and then a republic in 2021. Though it has remained part of the Commonwealth. Prime Minister Mottley also had a meeting with new British Foreign Minister and former Prime Minister David Cameron while she was in London. Questioned whether she had asked him directly about the UK making reparations payment, which she had earlier cited an estimate of being worth $24 trillion based on a standard definition of damage. She said she would not disclose the details. The Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, JCHS, in the wake of last Thursday's confirmation by Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith that Jamaica now intends to belatedly sign the new African, Caribbean and Pacific ACP European Union PAC, the Samoa Agreement, is calling on the government to clearly state its stance on controversial issues such as abortion and comprehensive sexuality education. The call comes on the heels of a statement issued by the ministry on Monday following its meeting last Thursday with various stakeholders, including the JCHS, at which the Foreign Affairs Minister said that Jamaica is a dualist state and there is no international agreement which will ever supersede Jamaica's constitution. Johnson-Smith said throughout the negotiation process, there were ongoing consultations internally with the relevant ministries, departments and agencies, as well as with members of civil society, which ensured consideration was always given to Jamaica's domestic legal framework to guarantee harmony with the international obligations outlined in the agreement. The PAC, which was signed on November 15 by several other ACP countries, is a new partnership agreement between the EU and 78 countries in Africa, the Caribbean and Pacific, which will frame relations between the signatories for the coming 20 years. And finally tonight, international news. Senate Republicans have blocked a move to pass an aid bill for Ukraine after failing to secure border compromises they sought in exchange, according to the BBC. The $110 billion package includes $61 billion for Ukraine, as well as funds for Israel and aid for Gaza. The White House has warned that U.S. funds for Ukraine could soon run out. A Ukrainian official said that failure to secure more U.S. aid would mean a very high possibility that the war will be lost to Russia. While Republican members are generally in favor of aid to Ukraine, some have sought to use the issue as a way to address mounting domestic concerns over the U.S. southern border. Senators, including every single Republican, voted 51 to 49 against advancing the bill, with 60 votes needed. The vote throws uncertainty into the future of aid for Ukraine and sends lawmakers back to the negotiating table with just days to go until Congress has scheduled winter break. Republicans are insisting that any aid to Ukraine be tied to sweeping U.S. immigration and asylum reforms. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.